our second webinar in our 2025 series on food sector automation successes in Canada, being hosted by the Canadian Food Innovation Network. My name is Tyson McGuinness. I'm the Regional Innovation Director for Atlantic Canada, and it's a pleasure to be here today. For a couple of housekeeping items as we get started. Firstly, if you require translation services, please click on the live stream button at the top right of the screen, and it'll take you to our Wordly translation service for your assistance. And as well, a little bit later on towards the end of our webinar, we're going to have a chance for any Q&A from participants. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask the panel as we go through, you can enter it in the Q&A section, and my colleague Julie Dagler, the Regional Innovation Director from Quebec, will lead that part of the session a little bit later on. In a moment, I'll introduce our panel of three great food tech entrepreneurs in Canada that are addressing significant industry challenges when it comes to automation and food processing, in food service, and in retail. But just to set the stage for today's discussion, it wasn't very long ago when you talked to food industry in Canada that automation sourcing was really seen as something that was being underinvested in, and that quite often involved working with an international company to develop your solution or to have an automation solution. Today, while there's still a lot of work to be done, we're seeing a lot of positive momentum taking place. According to a recent 2024 KPGM Global Tech Survey, Canadian firms are now investing more in technology solutions than many of their global peers. Many of these investments are building off of successful pilots, which are resulting in productivity gains and good ROI. For example, a lot of the members of our team visited a food manufacturer who shared that they automated one of their processing lines, previously had 12 employees, and they were able to reduce that down to 3 to 4 employees and increase their production by fourfold. So with a payback of about 18 months. So it's those kinds of, that power of results that really is exciting when you look at implementing automation successfully. But beyond the ROI piece, there's other benefits, obviously, to implementing automation. One of those is improved employee satisfaction. You know, when you automate, you can reduce some of those more labor-intensive duties, some of those more mundane tasks, and, you know, create more rewarding job opportunities for your staff. You can increase quality consistency, traceability, reduce food waste. And in a lot of conversations I'm having with food companies, some of the drivers for when they're looking at adoption of technology and automation, it's not only about increasing their competitiveness, but it's also looking at safeguarding the future viability of their operation. Sometimes that can mean looking at productivity gains, and other times it's realizing that they are challenged by current demographic realities and need to look for new solutions. For example, an Atlantic Province's Economic Council report stated that for every 10 retirees over the next 2 decades, there's only 7 younger workers entering the workplace. So I suspect those statistics aren't very promising in other parts of the country either. And when I spoke to another mid-sized food manufacturer, they've had to turn away quite a few different growth opportunities over the last couple of years because they just can't find the staff to help realize those. So they've realized that automation isn't just part of a productivity piece in their strategy, but it's really key underpinning for their future sales growth as well. But despite the fact that automation has lots of benefits, obviously there's challenges to undergoing these kinds of projects. You know, you have a high initial capital cost quite often that can be involved. You also need to have a champion in your team that can lead this kind of effort. And you have to be able to find the right automation solution provider. And that's why it's great we have 3 companies here that are doing great things in different parts of the food sector that I'll introduce here in a second. As well, beyond those 3 companies, we have a lot of other members within our 6,000 members across the country that offer different solutions when it comes to automation. So if you're looking for help in this space, if you're a food company, please feel free to reach out to myself or any of my fellow regional innovation directors, and we'd be pleased to help you out with some leads and connections. So that's enough for me. Now I'd love to turn it over and introduce our panel. And maybe what we'll do is we'll start one person at a time here and start by introducing the co-founder and CEO of Relocalize, Wayne McIntyre, to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your company. Wayne?
Thanks, Tyson. Looking forward to the talk with you and Tim, Julie, and Tyson. My name is Wayne McIntyre. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Relocalize. Relocalize is a bit of a strange business. We're in the business of getting rid of trucks, right? So if you think about how food is manufactured today, for manufactured foods, it's typically at a regional or centralized plant. It's then delivered to a distribution center on a truck. That's called the middle mile. In our world, you don't make food at a regional or centralized plant. You make it in an autonomous micro factory right at the retailer's distribution center. What does that mean? That means those trucks go away. We're laser focused in particular on food and beverage products made of water, for the simple reason that water is available in a tap in essentially every building in North America. So why the heck are we ever putting water on trucks? And we're starting off with the packaged ice industry. Why packaged ice? Packaged ice is a product that is extremely carbon intensive to ship. It's high waste, and it's very expensive to ship it all. So here's a place where we can deliver a significant savings and efficiency, as well as transformative CO2 emission reductions by getting rid of those trucks. To maybe one little small point, if you're thinking about the other way you could do this, our biggest competitor really is Elon Musk and the Tesla Semi. They're also focused on products made of water. Their launch customer is Pepsi. The big difference, we believe, between making product hyper locally and putting it on electric vehicles and keeping the facilities the way they are is doing it locally is you're able to reduce costs more and actually eliminate more carbon than you can with electrification.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne. That's great. Next, the founder and CEO of Area 52, Tim Fogarty. Tim.
Hi, welcome everybody. And Area 52 is a simple product development company. So we do automation equipment, and really all we're doing is focusing on solving people's pain points within the factories, right? So we're not so much retail. We deal with the processing companies directly. In all aspects of seafood, highly markets are lobster, crustaceans, crab. We're bridging into like oysters, mussels, clams. And a lot of our product offerings stem from what Tyson was talking about on automation, right? All the way from material handling, plant designs, niche competitive products that maybe make you competitive advantage compared to other people, quality of yield, labor savings, and value add, right? Some, unique value add products. So usually what we try to focus on is a multiple install base in an industry that has the same pain point, right? You can't get labor, you can't get imported labor. So all these automation processes are really coming to the forefront, and that's what we kind of specialize in. We have about 160 processing lines out there, and it ranges all along Atlantic Canada. We're not, we don't have to stay in Atlantic Canada. We can service other markets, but that's just been the focus for now, is to be northern US and Atlantic Canada. And some of our processing also after installation is IIoT. We are getting into AI, being able to have actionable alerts and high customer service support. So, we don't leave you hanging with a piece of automated equipment. We ensure that there is success with the end clients. A lot of clients have new technologies and processes. It can be painful to adopt, and that's where we come in and help out.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. And we'll get into a few more of those details, I'm sure, as we move forward. And finally, one of our first funding recipients that we had at CFIN, we have Kawark from Gastronomist Technologies, and he's joining us on the road at a trade show. Kawark.
Hi, everybody. I'm joining you from the NAFEM show in Atlanta. It's the largest food equipment show in the QSR restaurant industry. So Gastronomist is a technology solutions company focused on developing and building automation for the restaurant industry, in particular QSR, quick serve restaurant industry. Our customers employ a lot of people in the back of house. A lot of that work is very difficult work, hard to staff, hard to maintain people. This is an industry that is notoriously high in employee turnover, over 140%. coupled with the fact that the labor market is getting harder and harder as the years go by. And we are finding a market, primarily franchisees that are operating these businesses that are looking for solutions to help alleviate labor shortages. And the byproduct of high turnover business, which is quality and consistency suffering. So we've got a team of brilliant engineers that are developing what we call micro automation solutions. Automation has been around for decades, even in the food industry, food processing, that big food processing plants that have multi-million-dollar automated lines. But what doesn't exist is automation on a micro scale that can go into a QSR, which we view as a mini factory. You've got raw material, you've got machines, labor that process a raw material into a finished good. And so we've been able to really deliver automation solutions at the right price point that can deliver ROI to the customer of 1 to 2.5 years, which is really compelling. And I think the most important byproduct of that is not just this cost savings, but it's the quality and consistency. That's been really the biggest value that we've been able to generate. So exciting times, and we're looking forward to the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Kabor. I'm going to stick with you for a second and maybe dig a little bit deeper in terms of what has been kind of one of the underpinnings of helping you move forward with some of your innovation, and that's been collaboration. I know that you've collaborated closely with Recipe Unlimited, and I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to being able to form that collaboration to begin with, and some of the benefits that it's helped you achieve in moving your technology forward.
Yeah, I think the most important thing when you start a business is really spending time speaking to customers, understanding their business before you start developing any kind of technology or solutions. And we spent the first 6 months really speaking with as many customers as we could, understanding their business, their pain points. And in that process, we were able to really develop some strong relationships with some early adopter lead customers that were willing to work with us to develop a technology. And I think that's the most important thing, is you've got to have a customer that is willing to commit, whether it's monies or time, to be vested in the development process, because let's face it, hardware development is expensive, it takes time, and unless you've got the customer on board, you're really it's very high risk. Let's say you have the customer on board, it guides you to the right solution, because we are experts in technology, we're not experts in restaurant operations. So you need to have that customer to really give you the right input to develop a really solid solution. And that's what we did. Recipe Unlimited, for instance, was our partner in our CFIN project, and they were our first lead customer. And since then we've developed some other really major customers that we're working with right now.
Great, thank you. And in your case, Wayne, being able to secure a retailer, when we think of maybe some people on the line that are dealing with that, maybe trying to have a CPG product listed, that's difficult enough. In your case, when you're pitching the idea of an autonomous microfactory, that's got to be a whole other piece altogether. So wondering if you can share a little bit of your story of getting that first pilot up and going with Southern Grocers.
Absolutely. Southeastern Grocers has been just a fantastic partner for us. We're starting out in packaged ice. Florida is the place you want to be. We sell they're selling product in their Winn-Dixie stores. But securing a partner like that is not easy. I mean, especially large grocery retailers. How do you bring something new? How do you get them to do something different? And this truly is different. It's the world's first autonomous factory for the food and beverage industry. Like making packaged food. It's the first autonomous factory. It's the first micro factory for making packaged food. And the secret was not so different than what Kavork was talking about, right? You need to have an extremely strong value proposition. You have to understand how they operate. You have to understand their pain points. And so right really from the beginning, when we started Relocalize, we brought on investors and advisors, and usually they were combined, they were both, who were leaders in the industry, C-level leaders, people like Marc Poulin, the retired CEO of Sobeys. And when you have people like that involved, you really can ensure that that value proposition is strong. And if you think of when we started, this was COVID timeframe here, right? So supply chain risk was top of mind, right? People were worried about Scope 3 emissions. Unfortunately, they're a little bit less worried today, but certainly has been still top of mind for a lot. And efficiency, shortage of trucks was a major issue, and truck drivers and people to work in distribution centers. So when you can bring a solution that says, hey, look, we're going to reduce your Scope 3 emissions, and I think that gets everybody excited, but we're going to reduce your cost. We're going to increase your efficiency. And, most importantly here, overall, you're going to have a dedicated source of supply. And you can say that to people in COVID, it's a very compelling value proposition that really quickly drives you to the top of the organization. So you're talking to the right people. And we found that continues to be the case. But the real secret was exactly what Kavork was talking about. Work with the right people at the beginning, and build a compelling solution and compelling value proposition, and people will want to launch with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that is a compelling proposition. There's a lot of depth to it in terms of a lot of different benefits. Tim, from your perspective, you've been in market a few years longer than Relocalize and Gastronomist. When you have seafood clients or other clients coming to you, what's kind of that first number one challenge that they're facing? And can you give us an example that gives us a sense of the value you've been able to provide to them in solving that problem?
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, every manufacturer has pain points, period. And what we try to do is identify the common pain points through multiple customer base or an industry. It's extremely difficult to do product development, period, no matter what you're doing. It has to go through all the phases and fail fast, and, investments, aligning yourself with the government. So what I usually do is I evaluate kind of what their pain points and commonality are. And then I also look at what that sales pitch is going to be before I kind of start, right? So what is the monetization value? What's that opportunity? And then what we'll do is we align ourselves with government to help offset some of that product development pain points. So in our industry, for seafood and seafood manufacturing, a lot of it was very manual. A lot of it is still very manual. There's a long ways to go. Not everybody graduating with a mechanical engineering degree locally wants to go work in some of these plants to solve some of these issues. So the labor tends to be immigration labor. And what we're trying to do with automation is take those pain points that those customers have and switch it to high value talent and technicians, right? That then service that automation customers and lines. So as an example, we've developed solutions for scoring and extraction of lobster, automatic butchering, labor intensive systems where, they used to manually automatically butcher lobster, where we've also automated that. Usually our labor savings on those systems tend to be about, 10 people, for example. Similar, it's about our payback. We try to target a 1 to 1.5 year ROI. That'll give you some leeway with customers that would be expecting a 2-year payback, for example, right? And then there is the adoption of, once we get a system, say if it's a new innovation that we put into a processing plant, we do have a kind of an early adoption mentality. Do not let that customer fail. We are not perfect. No one usually is perfect on adopting a first automation technology or solution. There is pain points that go through on both sides. But once it's developed and you go through, I mean, the benefits, are crazy once you define that sales pitch and ROI up front and you did your homework. bear fruit once you get past that product development for those customers.
Perfect. Excellent. And I guess thinking about, I mean, it's very impressive in terms of the approaches you're taking, getting very close, understanding those pain points of your customer very well, and being able to build off of that for each of you. And that's really helped you with a lot of your development work and building out your customer base. I'm wondering, Wayne, as you look at going from your initial pilot and your initial development work to now scaling up your business, which is a whole additional undertaking altogether, what's some of the key efforts that you're undertaking now? And can you speak to that a little bit?
The most important thing for us right now, Tyson, is that, one, we completed a proof of concept. That's great, right? But that's not the same thing as a full scale, full benefit unit, full unit economics micro factory. That's what we're building right now. And the key for our retail partners and for the market is that they understand, one, we can deliver on our promises, so we can deliver a product that's better, that's greener, and it's more efficient. And they want that proof, and they want it at scale. Once they have that proof, it gives them the comfort that, all right, you know what, if we bring this solution on, one, it's going to deliver for us, and two, that we're actually going to get all those benefits. Nobody ever gets fired for hiring IBM, right? We all know that saying, right? And the key for a startup like us is, okay, put one in the market so that everybody can be comfortable that, okay, it really is delivering. Because when you are, and I think it's the same for Kevork and Tim as well, when you put a system in, there's an opportunity cost for them, right? So in our case, the opportunity cost is they're turning off their existing suppliers. In Kevork, they don't have those human beings that were flipping burgers before, for example, right? And in Tim's case, now that line is automated. The people who used to do that job manually are no longer there. And, so you need to be able to, they need to be confident that you can deliver. And I think that's really the big key for us. Frankly, there's so much pull in the market for what we're doing. There's just so much pull because it delivers so much value, and the product we can build we can deliver is just so much better. What they need to know is that they can count on us. And that's really the next phase to really, we believe we can, they can, but we need to prove it with a full scale facility and have that running, right?
Right. Very good. And maybe just flipping back to you then for a second, then Tim, when you is something that you just mentioned there, Wayne, building that trust and building that long-term relationship and continuing that on, is there something you've done, Tim, that you found has worked well to be able to kind of move from maybe a transaction of I'm selling you a solution to an ongoing relationship with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. The key is just it's continued innovation and continued customer support, right? So we've had complaints from other automation companies where they take systems, they drop it in, they got their payment, and they leave. Automation systems generally are new, especially if it's a new process that you're automating. They're new for those owners, and some of them do really require some hand holding. Some require hand holding at different lengths and times, and you need to be there to support them absolutely every step of the way. Failure for our clients and our systems is just not an option. Like, it's just not even on the table, right? Period. People who are in business, you got to grind it out and make sure that you're always innovating. And if you do fail or things go a little bit sideways, that you're there to support, you share the pain, you can rapidly adopt or come up with fixes. And then once that's over, generally you have a good product and a product line when you through that pain to continue on. The other thing we do is we always adopt to our same systems, right? So the new versions or the new upgrades, the new software, the new AI always goes with our equipment that we've always developed. So nobody's really left behind. And there's margins and sales and upselling that you can do with your lines installed along the way. Especially, it's pretty exciting with AI and some of the IoT that's happening too. That gives another opportunity to really improve the businesses and their processes. At the end of the day, if you really know their client and you know their client's processes, you know their client pain point, generally they'll welcome and really work with you, knowing if you set the expectations up front. So don't make promises that you can't commit, and just be honest. This is where we are. This is where we are in development. do you want to participate and help us or not? And we've had clients that have said no. We've had clients that said yes. And that resulted in, quite a bit of products that we've developed rapidly, introduced to the market, and have a really good support structure with augmented sales, I think is the key.
Thank you, Tim. And I guess moving over to work, one of the things Tim mentioned there was earlier in his response was, constant innovation. And I'm wondering how in your operation as a business that's, on the one hand, you're looking to commercialize probably your Chrono Grill, et cetera. And then on the other hand, you have other ideas in the development stage. How are you balancing that out as a company and taking care of both of those components of commercialization and product development at the same time?
I think we love product development. We all enjoy it because we love technology, but developing technology on its own doesn't pay for the bills. So we have to balance, it takes a long time to develop technology, get it through pilot testing phase to an expanded feasibility where you start proving unit economics and reliability of your technology. We're at the stage now where we've done that. And now we are starting to, this year, we are starting to commercialize the one product that we've spent the last 3 years developing. And we've got another product that's a little earlier that we can't really speak about right now because there is confidentiality with a big customer on that. But, I think you have to manage, it's like managing a portfolio, right? You're going to have certain assets which are more developed that are in commercialization stage, but you always have to have a pipeline of new products that you're developing. And let's face it, this space is a wide open space. We're at a show here, the largest industry show for food equipment, restaurant equipment, and there's no real innovation, and this is encouraging for a company like us because we've got so many ideas, so many things that our customers have come to us and said, hey, we need solutions for X, Y, and Z that a lot of these big companies are not able to do because they're just not geared up for automation. It's a totally different mindset, totally different piece. So, I think you've always got to be managing. We are a technology solutions company. You've always got to be managing, but keep a healthy balance of, hey, you got to get product out of the market to start generating revenue and then reinvest that money into always reinvesting that money into R&D and developing new innovations.
Right. Perfect. Great. Thank you. And I can't help but ask each of you, as founders and as entrepreneurs yourselves, when you were 3 years old and playing Lego, did you always envision yourself being a food tech entrepreneur, or how did you end up getting to this space of founding the company that you did? Anyone like to start off? Maybe Wayne?
Sure, happy to jump in. I mean, I've been in tech for a long time. I started out, in school a bit confused. Did I want to be a scientist? Did I want to be a business person? So I ended up studying biochemistry and genetics, law and business. But very quickly realized that it doesn't really matter what your title is or what your focus area is. Tech is where the fun is. So I've been working in tech for an extremely long time. Biotech to start, software afterwards, and this is my first food tech business. But ultimately, I mean, the path to tech, if you've got a passion for innovation, you enjoy change, once you're on a road like that, it's hard to get off. And so I think Relocalize is just the last, and who knows, maybe this one will keep you so busy, it'll be my last, but probably not. But this is the last step in the journey of working on technology companies. And I think the one big difference for me in this one is it combines a personal passion for sustainability and a work passion for technology. And I think that's part of what gets me so excited every morning when I get up to work on Relocalize is the idea, hey, we're building cool stuff, robots, IoT. I'm working with some of the smartest people I've ever worked with on the technology side, which is a real thrill. But also, I really, truly feel like we are going to have an impact and we're going to prove that hyper-local micro production is possible. And I can deliver some impact that makes me feel like the world's just that little tiny bit better than when I got here at first.
Yeah, that's awesome, Wayne. Anyone else like to jump in?
Yeah. My business before was the business that I came from was manufacturing, automotive manufacturing. We had a great business with manufacturing plants in Canada and Mexico, and we're producing components for world-class automotive companies. And we sold that business in 2016, and that business was automotive. He's been involved in business.
Looks like we're losing.
Carve fees out of your cogs so that you can be profitable. And can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Tyson, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So, the business that we came from, super competitive automotive industry, all about operational efficiency, how to be lean. We were very good at automation and automating processes. And when we sold that business in 2016, I said to my partner, I said, hey, where can we take our know-how and experience in industrial automation and apply it to a new industry? And, around that time, I came across a report published by McKinsey, and McKinsey listed the top industries that were ripe for automation in the future, looking at things like, the technical feasibility of automation, the amount of low skill labor doing repetitive type tasks. And food service was number one on that list. So when we looked at that, and my partner and I are both foodies, we're passionate about food, but we don't have the courage to open a restaurant business, because that's probably got to be the hardest business out there. We said, hey, here's an opportunity. We can bring our know-how and expertise, which is really unique, to help solve some problems in this industry. And to Wayne's comments there, we're having so much fun. We're working with engineers, young, bright engineers that are so passionate about what they're doing. And we see the appreciation from customers for the types of solutions and value that we're bringing to the table. So it's really exciting.
Well, we're very happy that you chose not to open a restaurant and went this path. So thank you. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, so first of all, I love Legos. I I think it should be on everybody's resume who loves Legos. So I loved building and creating. For me, it was after university, we jumped into a company that was extremely high tech here in the region, doing automated eyeglasses. It was, for me, and what I try to give my employees, it's simple exposure, right? It's exposure to opportunity to play with electronics, mechatronics, create. So we try not to limit anybody really at the company into their passions and what they want to try to accomplish. That kind of fosters that environment of people wanting to play with IoT or AI or, motion control systems or certain solutions or project management. And for me, when we got started, it was really that exposure that gets you that experience, right? Education will get you a good overview, but throwing you in the fire and employees in the fire and getting that experience and exposure, I think, is what turns you into the expert and the personnel required to give you that competency in front of the customers, right? And to be able to give you that competency to be able to develop solutions or whatever you're doing. That's what we're really trying to focus on some of our young people, is to try to really foster that. Innovation is not easy. It is exciting. I will have crying sometimes, and sometimes I'm laughing, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty cool journey being in that technology field. So that's how we kind of started. The other one was just as soon as we identified these pain points in this other industry, I was probably pretty naive on how I thought I could just solve it overnight. And that didn't happen. And so 10 years later, I'm still trying to solve some of those solutions. So for me, it's a little bit more of a spite challenging. Hey, I'm going to do it however long it takes, and it's going to get done.
Well, resiliency is a big part of any entrepreneur, right? So that's fair enough. So that's good that you've been keeping going, because there's obviously 150 plus processing lines that are in better shape because you have. So thanks. We're going to be going to the chat here in a few minutes. Before we do that, I'm curious if you had a piece of advice for someone that might be on the line here today that's at the early stage of starting their food tech company. What would be your suggestions for them as they get going? We can start with anyone. Kavork, maybe?
Yeah, I think important is spend time speaking to customers, learning about their business, really understanding, what the problems are before you embark on a journey of, building technology, because it is a big commitment. It takes a long time, and you want to make sure that you have the right partners from the beginning that are guiding you in the proper way. And I would say, at least on, if you talk about the food industry, not so much the manufacturing, but on the retail side, which is where we're playing. This is very new, and new technology. They're not known for, this industry is not known for embracing new technology. So you really have to be careful that you have the right partners from the beginning.
Thank you. Tim?
For me, my suggestion is align yourself with government, your local government agencies. Product development, again, is really tough. And there's things that you can do to mitigate that pain financially, right? So programs like yourself, tax credits, your local government really wants you to succeed, period. They're usually champion. There is some programs out there that will help you, guide you. If you don't know, align yourselves with some people that do know. And the other one is, I would say, make sure you understand what the problem is that you're solving. Understand the sales pitch and the ROI before you solve it. Some people will have pain points, and you think it's great to go solve those pain points, but the solution is going to cost so much money, they will never buy it. They will never, it will not be adopted, right? So you got to really make sure that you do a little thinking on the fast forward side on what that sales pitch is, what that ROI is, that when you are successful, it's a good product that people will just simply adopt, right? It's a no-brainer. And I would do that work, a little bit of that work, working with the customer and stuff like that up front. And other than that, if you're just starting out, get ready to grind it. And that's pretty much it. Be confident and just go, go, go.
Awesome. Wayne, your thoughts? You've been involved in this journey a few times.
Yeah, a few times, and I think the reality of starting a business is most startups fail, right? And that's just the reality of startups, right? And the reasons they fail, in my opinion, often are people fall in love with their ideas. And like Kavork and Tim were saying, they haven't fully thought through the solution for somebody. They fall in love with their idea, or they fall in love with their piece of tech. Excuse me. And so, the one thing I always, advice I took myself with this business and I would give to any other entrepreneur would be, take your ideas, think it through thoroughly, design a business model, right? And then go out and find somebody who's willing to invest in that before you've built really anything. And those people should be serious people from the industry that you're going to be working in. If you can't convince somebody to give you a check and their advice, you're not going to be successful as a business, right? You'll have lots of people say, I'll be your advisor and you can give me shares, but I'm not giving you any money. No. If you can't convince somebody to write you a check based on all the homework you've done and and it might be a small check, but if you can't convince somebody who's in the know to write you a check, don't waste your time on your business.
Interesting. Yeah, so having those key people around you that are willing to put skin in the game definitely makes a
Absolutely.
big difference in terms of, is this real? Is this a real business, or is this just maybe a good idea that hasn't found a solution yet?
Totally agree, Tyson, Wayne. The end of the day, the real vote of confidence is somebody willing to write a check. That's, put skin in the game. So don't be confused by compliments and wow, I love it. It's really cool. Put your money where your mouth is. That's the real vote of confidence.
I'm not going to name any names, but there's a fantastic investor here in Canada who's been successful in Canada and in the US. And one piece of advice he gave me at one point was, once they've given you their money, they work for you, Wayne. Right. And there's some truth to that, right? So if you can find a handful of experts or people who are at the top of their field and they're willing to write you a check to be part of your business, well, to some extent now they're invested in your business, they're invested in you, they work for you to some extent, and they're there to support you. And that will accelerate your path to commercialization, that'll accelerate your path to building it, that'll accelerate you in all aspects. So definitely makes a huge impact.
Yeah, which can be the difference between a door opening or not, that can lead to a lot of success afterwards. So absolutely. Great. I have another question or two, but before we do, Julie, do we have any questions from our attendees today?
Oh, that's weird. It seems that my eyes anyway, I'm human. So there's only one, actually. I have also one, but this one is from that's so weird, I cannot look, sorry. This one is from Donna Mary, and she'd like to know, she'd like to hear about the different organizations and impactful work you guys are doing. So
can you repeat that again?
So yeah, sure. Donna Mary would like to know, to hear about the different organizations and impactful work they're doing. So what are the partners that you're working with?
Oh, okay.
I can vouch for Julie, by the way. She is human, even though she seems to have laser eyes today.
It's so weird.
Bonjour, Julie.
Hi.
Hey, I can jump in maybe and try to answer some of that from my perspective anyways. I mean, you've got organization, obviously you've got your customers, right? Your Southeastern grocers and, and Tim and Kavork have their own. But I mean, there've been other organizations that have helped us out a lot too. CFIN is one of them. Right. I think, CFIN's been a great support for us. It's given us a forum. The CFIN has provided us with funding. And there are others like it, accelerators, like Creative Destruction Lab. I think they can provide network, they can provide connections, they can provide feedback, they can provide access to funding. And then ultimately government agencies also play a role, as Tim was saying. Really, there are all kinds of organizations out there, and for each business, it's a little bit different. But being part of those ecosystems, as well as being whether that be private sector, public sector, or somewhere in between, can really accelerate your success, because now you have a community behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to also add, Julie, that I think CFIN was the first organization that really gave us credibility, and this is around the time that we started doing our fundraising. And we came across the program with CFIN. Timing couldn't have been better. And the project that we were awarded with CFIN, the big project back in 2022, really gave us credibility with investors that we were speaking with. And shortly after we were awarded that program, we got our first lead investor. And we were able to successfully raise a pre-seed round. So major support from CFIN, and ongoing as well, where we had our regional director present at key events, open houses, really was a big help. And other organizations, I'll say IRAP, fantastic for fostering companies developing innovative technologies. So that's part of NRC. They've been a great supporter. CDL as well. We were part of the Creative Destruction Lab. We made it right through to the super session. So gives great visibility, great exposure to advisors, mentors, investors that all help you in this journey.
Tim,
Yeah, I
something
know.
to add?
Sorry.
Go
I was just
ahead,
gonna
Tim.
say, I was just gonna say really quickly, just keep in mind that sometimes there's top ups, right? So one agency will generally work with other agencies to top up your funding, right? So a lot of those programs, even though if you can get into one program, you know, like CFIN and stuff, they generally can also branch out into other programs to roll up a bigger project or roll up a bigger incentive package for you to be able to do product development, right?
Mhm.
So-
Well, thank you for your answers, your vote of confidence as well. It's always good to hear. I don't have any other questions from the audience, but I do have one. Tyson, would it be
Go
the
ahead.
time to do?
Yes, go for
Okay,
it.
so it's a bit different than the one Tyson asked you previously, but Tim told us that nobody is perfect in automatization integration. Well, if you could go back in time and change some of your mistakes, what have you learned from those mistakes? What would be your advice? That could be a webinar in itself, I know, but just in a few words.
For me and my mistakes, I'm not sure I really quite change it because that's what grows you, right?
Mhm.
That's what you learn from, right? So if you didn't have those mistakes, you know, I'll give you an example. I was at a plant and I shut down the plant by doing something. I believe they were losing $10,000. You know, every few minutes, it was just crazy. It was a lot of pressure, but you learn from that, right? Things that you do and don't do, and that's what gives you the competency as you grow. So I'm not 100% sure I would really change too many of my mistakes. Otherwise, I think those are mistakes I'd do in the future.
Yeah, Tim, I
That's
think
super
I'd agree with you as well.
Wow.
It's hard to look back at what we've done at Relocalize as well and say, you know, would we be here if we hadn't made those mistakes? Certainly some lessons learned along the way, right?
Mhm.
And so maybe one mistake, I'll take this because this is my mistake. I'll offer this one up. But definitely, you know, plan for things to take longer than you thought.
Mm.
I think when it comes to funding, plan for it to take longer. When you're dealing with a large organization like a retail grocer, or I'm sure the same is true, you know, if you're dealing with a fast, you know, food service, fast food organization, be prepared for things to be slow. And when you're a small business, slow can be dangerous because you're burning cash the whole time you're slow, and speed makes a huge difference in your runway. So plan for slow, push for fast, but plan for slow.
100%. It, you know, things always take longer and cost more. So that's a huge takeaway. Doesn't mean that you're not successful. It just means that's the reality. So you've got to plan for it, for sure. And I think, you know, the most important thing in a startup is people. And you know, if you have to take a little bit longer to hire the right people, do that, because you're only as good and as valuable as the people that you hire. And you have to have the right culture. That's absolutely the most important thing.
Love your answers. Thank you. Very wise. You became very wise through that with time, I believe. So thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Tyson, back to you.
Okay, great. And maybe one last kind of question from me before we move on to kind of what some of our next webinars will be about and wrapping up. What's one of the most exciting things you're looking forward to in your business moving forward that you're open to sharing? Tim, go ahead.
We're moving into AI on top of our product lines and processes. So, you know, that field and what has occurred in the last 2 years is definitely a revolution. It will change things. We recognize how it's going to change things, and it's going to be fast. So we're definitely looking ahead at artificial intelligence for sure within the automation community, you know, being able to help and develop faster internally as well as for our clients for their different product offerings. So I'm pretty excited about that just because at the pace that it's developing. So we'll be aligning ourselves with some bigger players because we cannot develop at that pace. But the implementation of that AI will definitely be jumping in knees deep to offer clients for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Kevork, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we're at the point now where our business is going to, you know, start to evolve from just being development and manufacturing and generating revenue and servicing. So we're excited about that. But, you know, I think in terms of technologies, it's such a wide open space. We've got so many other things in the technology pipeline. I think AI is going to make it so much easier for us to be able to assist customers with maintenance service. I think it's a huge resource. IoT connectivity, being able to monitor the assets that we have out in the field with the technology that's available today. You know, that's, I think, really exciting, and to see how AI is going to impact that.
Excellent. And Wayne, last word to you.
Well, the big thing for us definitely is deploying a full-scale microfactory. So, you know, can't give too much details on that yet, but this summer there will be one in a market. It will be supporting more than 150 retail stores, delivering at a distribution center, and there will be no people in that factory. So this is going to be a huge milestone, delivering at scale, a fully autonomous microfactory this very summer, and that really will be the launch pad for us commercially. Our goal is to put as fast as we can 1,500 of these into the market, and really change the way food is made and where it was made and how it's made.
Well, I think that's a great way to finish things off. A lot of AI coming our way and more growth, I'm sure, with each of your companies. So thank you very much to each of you for joining us today. This has been great. There's been a lot of excellent takeaways, I think, in terms of how closely you work with your customers to build your solutions and continue those relationships. A lot of wisdom. You know, one of the things, Wayne, when you, or I can't remember who said, maybe it was Tim, you know, push fast, plan for slow. You know, all of those pieces along the way are so important. And I think one of the other takeaways here is that here we have 3 different companies from different provinces that are really making, you know, a strong business case and providing solutions to different parts of the food sector and having a lot of success. So onward and upward to have more companies like yourselves moving forward in our country and in our food tech space. And thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule, and Kevork, in your case, jumping out of a trade show for a few minutes to join us. So thank you. Now I'd like to pass things over to Julie to tell us about some of our next webinars.
I have to fine tune my AI assistant. Sorry again, but I'm happy to announce that we have 9 more webinars lined up for you in 2025, and here are the next 3. So on March 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Empowering Women in commemoration of International Women's Day. Dana McCauley, our CEO, and Joanne MacArthur, owner and president of Nourish Food Marketing, will share full of insights aimed to empower women building their food careers. But of course, you know, gentlemen, you're most welcome to join us as well. That is the next one. It's next week. After there's one on April 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Scaling the Ecosystem, Canada's Path to Becoming Food Tech Leader. So please join our CEO again, Dana Micali, and Sylvain Charlebois, Professor and Director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University, and Matt McDonald, National Leader of Food and Beverage Processing at MNP, to discover key insights from two major reports. So MNP's Global Agri-Food Most Influential National Ranking, and our own, so CFIN Food Tech in Canada 2025 Ecosystem Report. And finally, even though it's not possible to register yet, please save the date, April 10th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you would like to learn more on how to succeed in the Quebec market, this webinar is for you. I will be hosting this webinar, and I invite Stéphane Crevier, a VP Brand Strategy and Growth at Pigeon Brands, to share key insights on how to navigate the Quebec market, adapt your branding and marketing strategies, and build strong relationships with retailers and distributors. And like today, you'll be able to ask your questions to Stéphane. So thank you. Back to you, Tyson.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. And I think that will wrap things up for today. So once again, thank you, Wayne, Tim, and Kavark, and Julie, for all of your help today. And have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.